Welcome, Janice.
Thank you for having me, Kimberly. I'm so glad to be here once again.
Yeah, what is this? Is this 3, 4?
I don't know. We've gone through a lot of technological changes. I think our first recording was years ago on the phone, and I had to find like a landline to talk to you on. And now here we are on our computers, all fancy pants. And I've even had a few computers along the way that I've done these with you. So I don't know. It's been a while. A lot of good podcasts. So thanks for having me.
Of course, and a lot of amazing evolution. And yeah, I remember we did Skype, and remember I would Skype video you into my Paris retreats, and we could like barely hear and see you like back in the day. Yeah.
We tried so hard. The tech was not on our side.
No, but Zoom is so on our side now.
Yes. And strong internet access. Yes.
Helps. Well, let me ask you this kind of, and as I mentioned, I'm going to be looking over to the right for some notes, but we're in midlife, and I'm wondering how your perspective has changed, because I know I found your book in 2014. So at this point, it's been 10 years. So I either had you on the podcast 14 or 15. And so we've kind of like grown up a little bit together. And I'm curious, what have you noticed throughout this phase of really over these past 10 years, your evolution?
Well, yeah. First, I didn't expect it to happen. And the book you're talking about, I have it here.
Paris Letters.
Paris Letters is 10-year anniversary.
So good.
It's amazing. And when I wrote this, my real aim was to complete it, to just pull it all together into a thing. Pull all the thoughts together. That was the biggest aim I had. And then I got an agent, and then I got it published, and I was like, oh my God, this is like the most amazing thing. And now I just expect to make a book and publish it. And it's not just all traditional stuff. Like this one, it came after, which is traditionally published. And then another one is Dear Parents. So big.
Yes.
And so there's an expectation, because back then, even though these are traditionally published, you could self-publish. You could, right? You did it with Create Space, that old dinosaur. Yeah. And now it's KDP, the Amazon self-publishing, and it's so easy to do. And now I publish a planner every year, and I'm not even asking, this is the 2023, 2025 is coming out after I finish it after this podcast. I have permissions. I've given myself permissions. Like, I'm not going to ask my agent to go schlepping some planners around. I'm just going to put them on Amazon. I'm going to tell my people about it. And if they want it, they can buy it. And that's the biggest evolution of, one, my expectation and my not needing anybody to give me permission. And two, tech. Tech has helped that process along, because I remember Create Space and I was like, this is hard. And also there was a stigma about self-publishing, like, oh, you're self-publishing because you couldn't get it published traditionally. And now I'm a hybrid of both. I am all about big fancy publishers, and I am all about self-publishing all at the same time. And it's the animal isn't interested in publishing and getting that kind of praise for publishing. It's publishing to publish.
Right.
I got the praise. I know what that is. I got it. It's fine. Anyway, back to my legacy, which is I make pretty books, and I want people to have nice treats, and I have letters, and I want them to have nice treats at the mailbox, and my job is to make treats in the form of paper things. Paper things.
But let's talk personally, even. So you've been through a lot in these past 10 years. And so as you think about kind of like, and two, even where you live, since you wrote Paris Letters, you've shifted a bit. And so what would you say is kind of the thing that really stands out to you as, I was not expecting this at this age?
Well, first of all, for any listeners who haven't been along the journey these last 10 years with Kimberly and Janice, I started in Paris. I was in Paris and I met the lovely Christophe and we got married. And then we moved to Canada where my family lives. And we moved to Calgary for a while, and that was lovely and wonderful. And then we had a baby, Amelie. She's lovely and fantastic. After a whole lot of fertility treatments and a whole lot of that journey. And then I got cancer, breast cancer. And so I'm like, all right, we're moving in with my mom in Ontario. So we went across the country, moved in with my mom in her basement. New York Times bestseller right here. Moving in with my mummy and my husband, my baby. Mummy, look after us, please. And then we bought a house during that time as well, because why don't we throw all the stresses all together in one big ball called 2018? See that fly? So we bought a house and now we're living this small town country life where there's a pumpkin festival and we go to take pictures with the pumpkins and we go pick apples in the apple orchard nearby. And like that life is very different from the Paris life, but also good, also good. And there's a part of me that really, there's a boredom to it because Paris is like really energetic and just your endorphins are rolling and all kinds of good good feelings. It entertains you, but here you have to kind of make your own entertainment. But with a young child, it's easier because you don't actually want to go and do those things anyway because you have a young child. So a lot has happened personally in the last 10 years. Woo.
Any
Like,
particular surprise? Oh, go ahead. I was going to say,
I
like,
got,
any
I was
particular
going to say,
surprises? Yeah.
well, I got the cancer was not anticipated.
Right.
The scars from it. Oh my goodness. I'm like a
Ooh.
road map. Was not
Ooh.
anticipated. But, and what wasn't that wasn't anticipated. And peace is nicer right now than the excitement. And that wasn't anticipated. I like the peace. I like the quiet. Because I part of me lives in Paris in my mind. I mean, I shut my eyes and I see my back streets of the streets I walked home from wherever I was going. Like I see that, and I thought I just got to get back. Like I'm lost. How they all got to get back to the island. That's how I felt. And I still feel that sometimes, but it is lessening. It is. Now I have it's like that it's all fun and play, but I got work to do. I want to make my books.
Well, and I have to wonder if you, and I assume you are, but infusing bits of Paris into your life in the country, right? So, what are some ways that you bring Paris to you? Like the apple picking. I don't know that we do that in Paris, but we think of like farmers markets and all the markets being so important in Paris and fresh fruit and vegetables. So, like, how are you? And you've got your little scarf on,
I
right?
do have my scarf on. Yes, I do have my scarf. So that scarf, I have a Paris street sign. We lived on Rue Mouffetard in Paris, and I have a little Paris street sign outside on my front door. So when you're entering this house, you are entering Paris. So also, another thing is the value of old things, like my little typewriter. They love old things in Paris. They love will not change. They don't want change. They like the old stuff. So like going to a vintage store and finding a great coat, it's yeah, that's what they do. And I find that's what I do too. Like I'm not so enticed by the shiny and new. I like the old things. And of course, our diet is still the same. Yeah, we have a cheese place here in Port Dover. And so it has cheeses from around the world. And man alive, they're like, can I help you? And I'm like, no, I am classically trained in picking out cheeses. Thank you very much. I do not need your help. I know exactly what I want. I don't say that, but that's what I think. No, I'll take that. And that's my perfect cheese tray. The one thing about that is I really impress guests with my cheese trays. because I know what I'm doing, except when my guests come from Paris to see me. And then I'm like, oh, I got to rejig. I got to find the other local things. I can't wow them with my cheese prowess. But there you go. And we still speak French and dream about Paris and going to Paris. And we go to Paris back and forth too. So Paris is part of it.
And I think I see fresh flowers in the background too,
Yes, I picked
right?
those from my garden
I
just this
mean,
morning.
so
Yes.
Paris. Yes,
So
love it.
Paris. Except I picked them from my garden. And I didn't go to the farmer's market because now I have a garden because I don't live in an apartment.
Right, right. Yes. Yeah, they're stunning. Well,
Thank you.
what else? Like we were talking before we started recording about brain fog and how like you couldn't hear me. And I'm like, I don't understand. Every the tech is set up. And then we look and it's this little red button. You just touch it when you pick it up, and my mic was muted. And I'm
Mhm.
like, really? The brain fog are just things where you're like, I feel like such a Luddite, but I'm not. I know how to use this stuff. So what are
Yes.
you noticing where you're just like, what is that?
I know midlife is a series of irritations, including brain fog, which is so irritating to me. So there you go, brain fog, irritation. So I definitely notice it. My mind is not as sharp as it once was. I get tired more easily. And I'm also just staring off into space. And I think, oh, is this peace? Is this peace or is this brain fog? What's happening here with my brain? But I am me as the observer inside of myself is observing me not being able to think like I once did, which I find very irritating. However, I pivot. I pivot. So if the writerly self, which is the sharper brain, isn't as sharp, then the picture part of me comes out. So I've been doing a lot more picture stuff. So I've been doing my planners, as I mentioned, which is a picture stuff. It's all graphics and I've also been doing the all kinds of books on Amazon under different names because the Janice and the Paris is kind of a brand. So now I have other brands under other names because I like just making the books. And like I said, need I don't need them to all be under the Janice name, which is a really nice permission that I'm able to give myself. But it is based in a little bit of brain fog. Like I'm making these cut and collage books where people buy the book because you can't buy magazines anymore. So all your collages. So sad.
No,
So
that's so
people
sad.
on Amazon make these books of wonderful pictures. And one of my pen names is Betsy Nightingale. How great is that? I'm so romantic. Betsy Nightingale. Two of these cut and collage books, but it's because it's a visual medium and I can't think. And I could barely get a blog post out sometimes, which is sad because I love blogging. So you just pivot. You pivot. I think midlife is all about accepting who you once were, accepting that you're not that person. And then you look at the next 50 years and go, all right, what are we doing now?
Hmm.
What are we doing now?
Absolutely. What are we
Yeah.
doing now? And as you think about these next 50 years, which is craziness, or just the time ahead, what do you envision? Do you have oh, we're going to live here forever, or we're going to go back to Paris, or we're going to move to America? You lived in California at one point.
I did. I lived there for 11 years. Yeah. I
Wow.
know. It's so cool. Well, I paused because I think because now that we have this kid, we're like, okay, we have to pay off this house. We have to pay off this. We have to save for education and we have to do all these things. And we have to have a big family vacation every year. And this is another evolution. I am going to wow the audience with this. We take separate vacations. We're
Love it.
taking separate vacations because we need a family vacation and he needs to get to go and do things that he wants to do and I have to get to go do things that I want to do because I met Christoph near 40. He was a little over 40 and I was a little under 40. A lot has happened in 10 years. And so we lived a big single life, both of us. And so then we found, okay, we're doing all these vacations together, but I want to go and do that. And he wants to go and do that. And we can, and he's, oh, last thing I wanna do is that, because he's European, so there's places that he has been and done. And so that's kind of a nice thing. So those are our big plans, is like just affording all the things because we have this child to think of, and also affording all the happiness that we can do. We can do this. We can It's very mature to admit these things to each other, going, "I love you, and I love hanging out with you, and I wanna go away with a friend of mine to go somewhere and do stuff." And he's, "Me too. Without you, it'll be great." So funny, because that's love too. That's
It
love, and it
is.
took us a while to get there because we felt like we would be hurting each other's feelings. But, no, no, no. We need to still be individuals inside of a marriage. So there's that too, just figuring all that out after being married and figuring that. Oof, it's a long lesson to learn.
It's so important. It's so interesting that you bring that up because Tim and I, for quite a while, we couldn't travel together if we were going to a place we couldn't bring our dogs because they were senior and we didn't trust anyone else to care for them and we couldn't daycare them. So our worlds was very much okay, you're going here then, I'm going here then. And now that we can kind of travel together again, I mean, we're doing it, but it's kind of like we really like the solitude of being able, like, of course, I go to Paris, or this year I also went to Borneo to see the orangutans. But, it's and for him, he loves to go to Disney and fly the Millennium Falcon, whatever that is. So I would never do that, right? So it's just, it's fun to have your thing and to still be able to do that without being like this all the time. Not that that
Yes.
isn't lovely. That's why we're with our partners. But, I think of Simone de Beauvoir. Am I pronouncing
Mhm.
it correctly?
I don't know.
Ish
Yeah,
and John Ball
probably.
Sartre,
Sure.
right? And
Yeah.
they lived separately. I'm like, it's
Yes.
kinda nice too, you know?
Yeah, it is, because marriage, what nobody tells you is that marriage is signing up to have a roommate for the rest of your life. I'm like,
Right.
I
Yes.
just spent 20 years living by myself. God. And you think, yeah, that's what I want. Definitely. I love this person. We're getting married. It's happening. But the reality is, oh, you're going to be my roommate forever and ever. Oh, yeah. So there's some navigating to
Right.
do for both of
Right.
us. For both of us. The last
Yeah.
thing he wants to do is sit in a cafe and write in his journal. But I'm all over that. I'm all about
Totally.
that.
Totally.
Yeah. And what is he gonna do? Get his coffee and go sit over at another table? Like, no.
Yeah.
So I could write my pages. It takes a while to come back to yourself after you get married. And I think it took us like
Yeah.
10 years. We're just figuring it out now.
Well, and how would you say, kind of speaking of marriage, like how have relationships shifted for you in midlife? And I think particularly as you are going through that incredibly hard time, right? Like living in your mother's basement and going through so much drama and trauma, right? It's like, how have your relationships shifted from also from Paris Letters coming out, which was such a success, to kind of you moving to the country? I'm just curious the evolution because that's a really big thing for people in midlife is they shift
Mhm.
and it's so important to have them, but it's not so much important to have bunches of them. It's important to have solid, mutually beneficial ones, you know?
Mm. Well, when I was in my mom's basement and going through all of my treatments, and I mean, I was in her house. We slept in the basement. We weren't sequestered to the
Right.
basement apartment or anything. We were
Right.
in her house. I remember being so grateful that I had nurtured this relationship over time, because some people really would have a hard time moving in with their parents in a
Yeah.
crisis. And it made me really value the effort I had put in over time with certain people so that we can rely on them and they can rely on us, because midlife is the beginning of health issues, right? I was flying free until my kind of mid early 40s, like health wise. And you think, who do I want to be around me during some of this difficult stuff? And also, who am I totally jazzed to help during this difficult stuff? So, yeah, the focus on relationships that really are going to count, and letting go of other people. I haven't kept in touch with some people, but I think, you know what? The phone works both ways. The phone works both ways. That's fine. They're busy looking after their own aging parents or their own little kids. So you really just let all that go. Let it all go. And you know what? Facebook is really great for keeping in touch on a light level because none of us are admitting it, but that's what we want from a lot of our relationships. A light level. Yeah, hi. Oh, I'm so glad to see the pictures of your kid graduating. I really am. Do I want to go for a coffee? No, no, you don't either. We all just want to get back to our stuff. So there is this kind of feeling of, am I being rude? Do I need to do this? But if I kept in touch with all the people all the time, I would exhaust myself and I would never get any work done. And I only got 50 years left, if I'm lucky, to get done all the beautiful projects that I want to get done, including raising my child. So I have to live forever and getting her on her way and also making beautiful books. I know how to do it. I love doing it. I have a gift for coming up with book ideas and following through on that vision. And some people just fall to the wayside. And that's okay. That's the thing. It's not a bad thing. It's not it's good. It's all good.
What
Be
about
loving and kind.
and be loving and kind. Well,
Yeah.
and one thing too, just like what you said about Facebook and the phone going both ways. You have an iPhone. Do you get the little record every week of like your weekly screen time?
I shut that off.
You shut
Yeah.
that off. Okay.
I shut
Well,
that off.
it's always surprising to me that weekly I spend 3 to 4 hours, I mean, a week, not a day, but texting. And I'm like, that's a lot. And it's not really tons of people. It's like me and my partner. Hey, will you give me some water? I mean, like
Yeah.
whatever it is. But
Mhm.
it's just wow. I mean, that's a lot of time. And I'm not on Facebook anymore, so I don't have that light touch anymore. But I found that it's better for my nervous system also to not be on that and just see things that I don't wanna see, right? And I know we can control it to a degree by people we follow, but it's been really nice to be off of that for me, but I will say I do miss the light connections or the I'm like, "Oh, is so and so how's so and so doing?" Well, I don't know anymore, right? Because 'Cause I'm not on Facebook.
Right.
And is that okay? I think I'm gonna be okay. But, it is also still a nice way for people to stay, like, somewhat connected, right?
Mhm. Yes, but you're right about the nervous system. Like, without it, there's peace and openness without all of the screen time. And I think that we as a people will get there and we will get kind of tired of just watching ads. Like, if you really pay attention
Ugh.
to Facebook and Instagram, every
Mhm.
third posting is an ad. And it's like this is why we have streaming TV now because we didn't want the ads. So, what are we doing here?
Right.
Even though, I mean, as an entrepreneur and a creative person, I also keep people in touch with what I'm doing. So they ask me, "Am I putting out another planner?" Yes, I am. There's that community within the brand that I've created. So there's that nice part, but there definitely has to be a balance. And I have to walk away from my phone. I have to put my phone in my bedroom and I have to be in all of as far away from it as I can for the day. Otherwise, I would just sit on it all day long, which is not ideal because I got stuff to
Yeah.
do.
Totally we have stuff to
And
do.
we're all running out of time.
Which is shocking, isn't it? When you turn a certain age, you're like, "I've been alive more than I'm gonna be alive." That just feels so weird.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I've watched one thing about Facebook is I will tell you all, I am turning 50 this year,
Woo!
which means all my classmates on Facebook have been turning 50 all year long. And it's funny to see that pivot, the, like, growing up and then 50 and then, and we're all kind of, like, teetering on this 50 here and navigating that, and I'm watching them for clues, like, "How's it gonna be? What's going on? How's it feeling?" 50, yeah, but anyway, the idea is to make it to 100, right?
Right,
That's the plan
right.
for everyone, I
Yeah.
think, secretly. We're all gonna do that.
Well, what about rituals and, like, practices that help keep you grounded? I mean, A, with just juggling your creative practices, but a family and your personal things. So, do you have any things that are like, you're like, these are my go to, right? Like, to me, it's tea, but
Oh, yeah.
there's many more. But what about you?
Well, I got some. I got some. I got something so good. I got something. So first of all, I do need pauses and quiet and stillness, right? These are things I love. I love being able to notice the beauty around me. I love paying attention to synchronicities, and I can't do all of that and listen to my inner creative. Can't do all of that with my family around. So there's a kind of a rough edge there for my soul. I wanted to do this thing, and you're just like constantly asking. Wherever I am in the house, they're with me. If I go sit on the porch, they're out there. If I'm not out there, nobody goes to the porch. Why? So I do these little resets where I go into my bed, full on in my bed, and I have this eye mask. This eye mask that I got from Amazon. First of all, it's Velcro. This is not a sponsored thing. I'm just telling you all. It's silk. Okay, or faux silk.
Silk like. Yeah.
Yeah, silk like. And it has this thing that covers your ears, and it's lightweight. So if you have a hot flash, you're not getting hot. And if you have a partner that has a bit of a purry snore, you're not going to hear it. And it's dark and it's thick, so it keeps the light out. And I lay with it, and I basically lay there until somebody summons me, which is like 5 minutes. Where's mommy? Where's mommy? Darling, where are you? And it's that 5 minutes to just. And then continue on. And when I was younger, I called all this stuff meditating, and I would go and do the meditations, and I do the meditations, but honestly, it's kind of the same deal, which is taking the outside world and pushing it out so that I can center myself in myself. And this thing, I got it on Amazon. Look up eye mask. It has like 20,000 5-star reviews.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
I love that it helps with sound too.
Yes. And it helps with also just ear warmth as well.
Oh, yes.
When somebody in the house might want the air conditioning on so much,
Right.
not naming names, and someone else doesn't, not naming names, that helps.
Yes.
It helps. I am telling you, it is sanity saving.
Yes.
And my sister told me about it. She's a flight attendant, and the flight attendants use them. So hot.
Yes, very good. Well, and
Yeah.
if you would share the link with me and listeners, I'll
I
put the
will.
link to that in the show notes because I think we all might need one.
Yeah. And you know what I do also is I give I like to give a little hostess gift when people come and stay with me. And spoiler alert for anybody listening is going to stay with me, is they all get this. I give them all this gift. They don't even know how good it is, but it's awesome.
So smart.
Why the elastic band eye mask? Our whole lives. We don't need that. It's hurt. It's not good. Okay. So that's my big hot tip about getting through midlife.
Right.
Eye mask.
Oh no. Are there
I did not
anything
expect that 10 years ago.
right? No.
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't be like, this is what brings me joy. Like today, I have from Etsy a fresh eucalyptus and lavender bundle arriving that goes in my shower. I mean, you're like, really? Did you really buy that? I was like, well, it's in the New York Times and Wirecutter. And I was just like, oh, maybe I need that for $25. So yeah, these things, you're like, who buys a eucalyptus bundle for their shower? So some of these things that just bring a little delight.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I have another one. I have another one. This, I want to say it's Dr. Teal's, maybe.
Oh, yes. The Epsom salts.
Yes. With the melatonin in it. And it smells all nice.
Yeah.
That's how you absorb melatonin, people. That amazing. Is hot ticket item. Yes. I would like a giant flower bag of that in my bathroom with those big, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Just to calm it all down.
Yes.
Calm it all down.
Oh my gosh. The best. And again, you can get that on Amazon at
everywhere
different stores. Yeah. It's so good.
It's wherever Epsom salts are sold.
Exactly. Which really should be everywhere.
Yeah, but it's the purple bag I think it's a purple bag.
Mhm.
Periwinkle blue,
Mm.
maybe.
Love, love.
Yes. Yes.
Well, what about reinvention? I also think about midlife as a time of reinvention, and that could be career wise, that could be relationship wise, that could be where you live in the
Mm.
city, that could be your style, that could be the way you decorate, the way you write. I'm just curious, have you noticed any shifts in it towards a little bit of a reinvention for you?
Well, I have noticed that because I am the mother of a small child, the literary version of myself, the writerly self is dulled now, and I really hope it's temporary. So I've been pivoting toward these kind of visual books, and that's great because I still can create the books, but I would like to get back to the writerliness. I would like to get back to just writing books, writing books. And even though I do have a lot of books out there, I mean, under my name and other things, but I miss that. And so how I get back to that is a little bit of a mystery, except here's one thing I noticed that I was writing in my journal because as you and I have been big journal writers all our lives. And The Artist's Way, we both listened to everything Julia Cameron said. And I do my journal writing, but I had this one thing. I was writing in my journal and I was writing, why am I not doing this? Whatever the project was, why am I
Mhm.
not doing this? And there was a realization because I am writing in my journal instead of
Ah,
doing
yes,
this.
yes, yes.
Yeah. And when we have limited time, it's, oh, I'm just going to write in my journal and kind of get my thoughts together. But then I thought, oh, I should just be doing the thing sometimes. So that was a realization. Like there is an evolution of even that for me. That now there's a lot. If I know what the plan is, just do the plan. Do the plan. And then maybe my journal writing happens later in the day where I'm having my tea and I'm like collecting thoughts and writing then. Like it's it's not the priority it once was. And maybe that's gosh, maybe that has led to me not writing so much words, but I'm also getting a lot of other things done. So, anyway, why am I not doing it? Because right now I am actually writing in my journal and not doing it. So I got to shut my journal and I'm going to go and do this and get it done.
Yeah,
Why
well,
did that take so long, Kimberly? Figure that out.
I know. No, but it's a thing. And do you know, I think it's Dr. James Patterson. He writes a lot about the theory. He's a professor at University of Texas, and I may not be his name. I think it is his name, but he writes a lot about therapeutic journaling, right, and the practice of it. But I remember reading something where he does say that we can use it as an escape or an avoidance also. And
Yes.
it can also be a way where you're just, like, reprocessing the same thing, and, like, "Why am" mine are always like, "Why are you not getting enough done? Why are you not getting it done? Why are you" and it's just like for you, it's like, "Why are you not doing this project?" "I don't know, let me just keep writing." And again, I think that is helpful and therapeutic, but there might come a point where you're like, "Is this helping? Is this making a difference? Or is this, like, preventing me from doing the thing I wanna do with what limited, precious solitude time I have?"
Exactly. This do that later. And I know later when everybody's in the house, I won't be able to do the writing, but it's not the fail that I thought it was. I don't get the writing done today. No, but I got a painting done today. Oh, good. I got this book uploaded today. Okay, good. Book of pictures for collage,
Yeah.
which is amazing. Fun too, because it's like walking through a museum making all these books. But yes, there's a pivot, right? Journal
Mhm.
writing and then do the thing, do the
Right,
thing.
right. Yeah. I do find, and you probably do too, that the journal writing sometimes it just helps synthesize what is going on up here. I always feel lighter after I write in my journal.
I do too. I also notice things I want to do, like new stuff that might be fun to do. sometimes I work through it in my journal and go, actually,
Mhm.
no, I don't. Like pottery. I
Yeah.
think we all go through stages of life. It's like we start with being interested in coffee, and then we get interested in wine, and then we get interested in goddess stuff, and then we get interested in who knows. Like we all just step through these little niches of life. And so there was a part of me that said, "Oh, I should take up pottery, the spinning wheel thing." And people in my neighborhood and people in my age group, they're showing all their stuff on Facebook, and I think, "Oh yeah, I could do that." And I walked through it in my journal, and I thought, "No, I don't want to get my hands dirty like that. It's not my thing. No, not happening." And I'm a gardener. I can get my hands dirty, but I would be taking away from gardening to do the pottery, and I would have to arrange plans to deal with childcare just so I could throw some pots that are going to end up in a thrift store. It's not going to happen. No.
Right.
And I went through this whole process, and all I didn't have to go anywhere, just inside my journal. Pottery plans done.
You're like, "Nope."
Nope. Let's just let
Not
that
happening.
go. Yeah. So that's, I mean, journaling. You know me. I love working through stuff in journals, but yeah. Anyway, even that it's like I'm in a midlife journal situation too. That's has its own evolution.
Yes. Yes. It does. Well, and Janice, before I ask you my last question, anything else you want to mention about midlife that we haven't touched on in today's interview that you're like, this is pertinent and everyone must know it?
Well, I did mention the eye mask. So good. So good. I feel like this frontier is me fine tuning and managing my moods
Mhm.
because because of hormones and also patience, just plain old life could really heat me up. I could run hot. I could run hot, not outwardly, but inwardly. And
Mhm.
because I had the cancer, I'm really aware of trying to calm it down and not have
Mhm.
run hot internally. So just I just trying to catch the and let it and become, honest to God, more tranquil, which is what you're all about, but which is why this works so well. But whew, so just try to catch why am I running late so that I have stress? Let's just go early and not have stress. Why am I embarking on this relationship which makes me stressful? Just back, center self, calm down. So that's my new frontier. Try not to run hot.
Yes. It's so important. I have a friend who started hormone treatment recently, and she's in her mid 50s. And she's, yeah, it's great. I no longer want to stab people with a fork.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's part of mine. I can't have any of that because of my medical
Yes.
history. So I'm on my
Yes.
own. No
Yeah.
hormone
Woo.
replacement therapy for this guy. I got my eye
Yes.
mask, and that's going to have to do.
Right. And some
Yeah.
journaling and some
It's
deep breathing, some
yeah.
gardening. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, she's right about that.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. It's a
Right.
little bit their fault. It's a little bit their fault. But I have my part to play too. So
Yes.
working toward calm.
Right. Well, and of course, that ties into my last question, Janice, which is the name of the podcast, Tranquility du Jour. How are you finding tranquility in your everyday? Of course, we know the eye mask, we know the journaling.
Don't I
We
know it? uh, I have a front porch, and I've always wanted a front porch, and I got this house. It didn't come with front porch, and I was like, priority one, putting that front porch on. So we have this front porch, and I put all rocking chairs out front. So I have 4 rocking chairs. And I go out often and I just sit on my rocking chair. And there is something about rocking on a rocking chair that brings me back down. And I noticed when people come over and we sit in the rocking chairs, even our conversations have changed. They start to slow it down too because they're rocking back and forth. And I don't know if there's science based on rocking chair therapy, but anyway, it works here. And everybody and people come into my house and go, "You have a rocking chair." And they Go right to the rocking chair, sit down. I had a friend from Paris who came and she sat in the rocking chair the whole week. Let's sit outside, sit on the rocking chairs. So rocking chairs, man. And maybe it's
Yeah.
just like me, senior in training. Maybe there's a reason they sit outside on the porch in the rocking chairs.
Smart. They're no dummies.
They're
Yeah.
no dummies. Yeah, that's right. So rocking chairs, like I recommend them. And they're
Yes.
everywhere. I mean, I don't know how easy they are to find new either, but they're in thrift stores and stuff. Rocking
Yeah.
chairs.
Well, it's funny, babies, I think, I don't know, but it's what I understand, they love the motion, right, of being in a
Mhm.
car and they're rocking, and of course, their little swing sets, and I love if I see a swing set, I always hop on it. I love that motion, and then in a hammock, just kind of so there's different ways to incorporate it, but yeah, how to get that sort of rocking motion is quite soothing to the nervous system.
Yeah, and why did we stop? Why did I stop? I had what? Rocking chairs. Could solve everything.
World peace through rocking chairs. I
There we
love it.
go. If if all of the world leaders were in a big conference room and it was rocking chairs instead,
Yeah,
it would be a different conversation.
I think it would be.
Yeah.
Yep. Not in those tight suits that just probably I mean, they're already uncomfortable and anyway,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Janice. It's such a treat to see you again and to have you back on the show.
Well, thank you very much. Who knows when we'll do this again and what technology we'll be using. Thank you, Zoom.
Right, totally. Thank you for not being Skype, right? That was like sorta worked, but sorta didn't. So,
Oh.
yeah, this is a treat.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, wishing you the very best in the rest of your year. And thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Well, thank you very much. And after this, I'm going to go sit on my rocking chair.
That's my girl.